There you go. Colleens in the
Hey,
Bahamas
there we
somewhere.
go. Yeah, right. That's what I needed this vibe really quick. So, anyways,
Nice.
hey, I am so glad that we finally got this going. Facebook is a mess sometimes. But anyways, welcome. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching this. It's all going to be on a live replay because that's just what it's going to be. So today we have again Michael and Phil here joining us, and
Hey.
they are very gracious. They're
Hey.
going to allow us to pick their brains again. And today I wanted to talk a little bit just to kind of let you guys learn a little bit more about what we're doing here and why we're doing it, and also talk a little bit about living benefits and what do you guys know about your life insurance policies? Like if I were to ask you right now, do you have life insurance? And you said yes, would you know how much is it? And is it term or whole life? It doesn't have any riders like living benefits. Most people don't. So that's kind of why I wanted to talk about this because when I first got into this business, that was what hooked me because I didn't know anything about that. And I was like, well, how come I've never heard of this? Because it can really be useful. You can actually use your benefits while you're still alive. And that's crazy to me. Like I didn't know that. So that's why a lot of people are like, why would I want life insurance? I mean, I can't use it till I'm dead. So
Yeah. No,
with that being
that's a great point,
said,
Colleen. And thank you for kicking that off. Because a lot of people are not aware of the additional benefits that a life insurance policy has. And
mhm,
I think it's because there's a lot of policies out there that don't have living benefits, right? So
they don't
I
even
think
offer
that's
them.
probably one of the reasons for it.
And to add to that is, why would someone even consider it? Oh, they got their life insurance in place already and they
Mhm,
don't have any living benefits. Like, why would they even want to look into it? Right?
right. Right.
Yeah.
And so
So yeah.
what so when you usually generally if somebody says, "Hey, I need the life insurance policy," and they don't really know anything about life insurance, how do you determine what it is that you're going to, I mean, don't go into a big long
Yeah,
detail, but
sure.
do you offer everybody living benefits or just not everybody? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how do you determine whether or not that's something you're going to offer? Because is it whole life that only offers it? Is it term? Or is it just something that you determine like, well, they don't need them. In my opinion, everybody needs them, but that's just a whole nother story.
Yeah. No, that's a really good question. Before we dive into the particulars of that, just want to take a step back and
Oh,
let people
yes.
know who we are, what we do, right? We're the wealth agency, and
You
our
did say
mission is
that.
very simple, right? We help close the financial inequality gap by providing financial strategies, tools, and opportunities that empower individuals and families for financial success. So at the heart of our agency, that's what we do. And it's a very important topic. And we do this through partnerships with the following companies like Nationwide, National Life Group, Pacific Life, Emeritus, Athene, Prudential, just to name a few. And you have John Hancock in there, right? So to circle back to your question, Colleen, like how do you determine who needs it, eligibility of it, and all that stuff? I am on the same camp as you, right? I think that most people should have it, right?
Hmm.
Most people should have some sort of long-term care plan, or some because when you're thinking about how do you protect the income of a household in the event the main earner gets sick, this is how you
Hmm.
do it, right? Because not everything leads to death, right? Not,
Right.
people survive strokes, heart attacks, and all that stuff. But then
But
you
yeah.
have the financial hardship plus the crazy amount of medical expenses that comes with that,
Well, yeah,
right?
but that isn't that what health insurance is for? That's what I mean. That's what some. And what if you don't have health insurance? Then you're screwed. But yeah,
Right. So this is not to compete with health, it's to supplement it. You know what I mean? I never look at it as competing with health insurance. I think everyone should have it who can afford it, get a good plan for you and your family. But I think this supplements that, right? There's some intangibles about health insurance that like if you wanted some, if you had some disease or something that was not covered by your health provider, right? This will give you the funds that you can actually do that, get that aid that you need. You know what I mean? So I think it
right.
supplements it. Um, But I think when you're talking about financial plans and looking at the gamut of household and their income and how to properly protect people and families, living benefits, it's at the heart of what we do. I don't, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've done a policy without living benefits, right? Like,
I don't think
I don't think, I don't think we've done a financial plan without living benefits because we
I think you're doing a
wholeheartedly believe in
disservice
that.
to people if you don't. I mean, that's my opinion, but why wouldn't you? Because there's my next question. Is there always like, because immediately everybody thinks extra charge, which is going to cost more. Not always,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Okay, so go ahead. I'm listening.
Well, now that we're touching on that, extra charge situations and
Mhm.
things like that, right now, one of the biggest things to consider, because health insurance, yeah, we talk about, oh, well, isn't that what health insurance for? Well, health insurance will cover for the illness itself, trying to get you better, right? It'll cover
And they
that. That's
pay
what the
the hospital
insurance kicks in
directly.
to do, right? But it won't necessarily cover all the other household bills, things of that nature. It won't cover any of those other things. And that's when you start hearing about long-term care, disability products, different things like that. Now, all those are great, but when it comes to coverage, the reality of the situation is that the insurance companies, when they price these products, for health, it's based off morbidity, which is the likelihood of getting sick, right?
Hmm.
So these policies end up becoming very expensive. I'm talking about disability, long-term care policies, right? Even short-term disability. When you price it inside of an insurance product like life insurance, it's based off mortality. So it's the likelihood of dying. So there's still a cost to it, but it's not quite as high as someone with the likelihood of getting ill because the reality of it is just like Phil said, is like not everything leads up to death right away,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And if you ever looked into life insurance before, you'd know, the younger you are, the most healthy you are is the best time to go get insurance because it's probably cheapest it's ever going to be, right? The insurance companies of
Right.
today, the way they price things, it's a lot more competitive now because
Mhm.
they build these kind of things inside of it. And it can cover for health issues such as the ones we're talking about that are covered in living benefits that Phil will talk about right now. But they're doing so on a much, 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 much more cost efficient structure to be able
So,
to
right.
offer those to clients. Yeah,
So, and
if that makes
sometimes some
sense. Yeah.
companies, yes, and some companies even include them in automatically, like you automatically get this. Not all, but I have run across that. It's because it's like a bonus or a whatever. If I'm wrong, correct me, but I have seen that a few times. So it's not always just about the extra cost, in my opinion. And it is
Yeah.
sometimes if it is an extra cost, it's minimal.
Yeah. I mean, and
Yeah.
sometimes I mean, you can't even quantify. I was talking to a gentleman, I think it was yesterday, an appointment, and he kind of asked me the same question. He's like, hey, well, what if I took these riders out? How would it impact my plan? And we did the math, and you couldn't even see the difference in it, to be honest,
Mhm.
right? So the amount of benefit that it provides versus the cost,
Yep.
you can't even measure that, right? So talking about living benefits, though, let's get some context behind that. We're talking about things like terminal illness, something that someone would contract, which would lead to death in 12 to 24 months, right? That's something terminal. Obviously, that individual, that family will be devastated. They have life insurance, which protects them after death. But this is where we see the huge benefit of having these types of coverages. Because in the example of, say, a cancer, right? Right away, your terminal illness rider kicks in and you're able to, get funds out of your account while you're still alive. You know what I mean? That's huge. And
Well, it is.
it's not only for terminals, for chronic illness. Now we have a new one, Alzheimer's disease, right? And critical illness. So all these things that when we're looking to financial structures and plans for families, sometimes we glance over it, right? Because we do this every single day. It's kind of repetitive for us. But we can negate the fact that it's a huge benefit, especially when you're talking about income protection, not just income replacement, because that's after death, right? While you're still alive and you need that income because you can't work, like where do you draw that from, right? Friends and families can help you, but that there's limits to that. You know what I mean? So
Right.
just by
And they
taking
don't limit like what you can use it on. They don't say, well, you can have this money, but you can't use it for this and you can't use it for that. You could literally use it for whatever you want, correct?
uh
Correct.
correct. Yeah,
Yeah, correct. Yep.
once you
Yep.
qualify on whatever category that is, you just get a check. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
And
So if you want to go on a vacation because you're dying in a month or
you
12
could.
months or whatever,
You
you
could.
can. If you
Yeah.
want to use it. My thing was like a lot of people would say, you know what? I would rather give this money out now while I'm alive and watch the people I love like, have it and enjoy it and whatever, just depending on your situation, just so you have a little, I don't know. I would think that that would be very like fulfilling, but
Absolutely. Yeah.
medical costs,
Because it's
whatever.
the intangibles, man. I mean, I tell you a personal story. Like when my dad was sick, um, he was already retired, right? But I can't help but imagine what the devastation would have been. Would it been, when we were kids, and my mom, she didn't work, right? So he was a primary wage earner. And if that happened when we were still home and kids, that would have devastated our family financially, right? Not just the emotional impact behind that. So when you go through these things in life, you get to learn, right, the importance of these things and how to properly protect families. I don't see a reason why, an agent out there or someone out there in this field would not offer living benefits on a financial plan. It just wouldn't make sense to me.
Yeah. And then the other consideration too is that again, through time evolution of insurance policies and how the insurance carriers provide these kind of benefits, I mean, they've evolved through time, right? So historically, like there have been ways to try to cover certain gaps and different things, like offering whole life or universal life with like long-term care. These are all different structures. But
Mhm.
when you have like, for example, for those of you out there to even have like a long-term care policy inside of your life insurance, those are still priced as healthcare policies inside of a life insurance bucket. So those are some more expensive type policies, right? The
Mhm.
ones that we have, like for example, the ones that we're talking about today with the carriers we use, those are considered asset-based long-term care living benefits, right? That are
Mhm.
inside of these types of policies. They do conform with like national long-term care guidelines, right?
Right.
So same qualifications, same things needed to trigger an event that's covered. And the difference, though, is that here you can use that income, those benefits, like Colleen, like you just mentioned, for anything, right? And it will pay the insured on the policy, yeah, right? As opposed to like if you had long-term care or disability, it's not paying you, the
Pay the
individual, it's paying your vendors.
facility.
Vendors, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have to do in-home nursing or any other type of care, you're paying those vendors. So you're still paying out of pocket. It's more of like a
Right.
reimbursement.
Yeah.
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 So let's talk a little bit about what it will cover. Like it's like, okay, terminal illness, chronic illness, what does that mean? The critical illness, injury, like if I break my finger or my arm, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
or if I fall, if I go out for my friend's 50th birthday and have a heck of a time and I get up on the bar and start dancing and get completely snockered and fall down and break my leg, is that covered? You know what I
I
mean?
love
Like,
those,
because
I love
I know
those
they have a lot of
examples.
stipulations.
Yeah, well, um, and we could get into that because these are good examples of what that is, right? But one of the things that I've learned recently that I didn't even realize that was covered is something like a coma, right?
Oh, that's good to know.
Paralysis, severe
Don't ever cut
burns,
me off.
or traumatic brain injury. You know what I mean? So
Never, ever, ever pull the plug, please. Just leave me up.
leave me. Um, and then we have some examples of, to your point, Colleen, of critical illness, right? Obviously
Mhm.
ALS. I can't pronounce some of these things, so you guys have to help me with this, right?
Lou
But
Gehrig's disease. Yep.
uh, yep, obviously we have cancer,
Mm-hmm.
cystic fibrosis, heart attack, heart valve replacement, major organ transplant, strokes, sudden cardiac arrest. So those are examples of critical illness, something, um, for lack of better terms, critical. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And again, not all events lead to death. And in the event that you can't complete two of your ADLs, then automatically these benefits kick in, right? And just to give some context on what ADLs are, activities of daily living, bathing, continence, dressing, eating, toileting, and transferring, right? So if you can't by yourself complete those, or at least two of them, then that kicks in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
And typically they're the critical illnesses that are covered are the ones that kind of lead up to those things that would create a quote unquote chronic illness. Obviously, not all events are covered, right? And that's what we do have solutions for those as well. If you want like a whole encompassing package, that covers those kind of things like accidental death and dismemberment, um, things that require more like ancillary benefits. We do have those as well, right?
What
But these are
about,
really ones that are heavy that kind of like,
right?
bring
What
things
about,
home.
say,
Yeah.
because in the dental field, say I don't know, I break a hand or a foot or like a hand, like, and I can't work because you can't. Maybe you break both hands. I don't know. Because,
Yeah.
you get in a car accident and you're just jacked up. I mean, so you cannot transfer yourself and you cannot, probably can't, I don't know.
Walk.
Is that something
Walk
that would be
or
covered because it was an accident
yeah.
or would it? Okay.
Yeah, we're not the claims people, right, when it comes to
Right.
this,
No, I
but
know that, but I'm
so
just
long
wondering
as
like,
the physician, the primary care physician will sign off on not being able
okay.
to perform 2 out of 6 of those daily living activities as
Okay.
a chronic illness, they'll sign off on it and yeah, that's a covered
that-
event.
that's
Right.
that
Because I was
Mike
gonna
is
say, like,
right. That's usually
that's
the bar, right? Like you
Yeah,
default that. I mean, again, we're not claim specialists, but you default to did the injury it has the injury led to I'm not able to
yeah,
bathe myself, right? Or
right.
go to the bathroom or eat or get myself dressed. And if the answer is yes, then you could file a claim.
Okay.
yeah.
So not necessarily a chronic illness. It could be something that just made you not be able to do these things.
Potentially, yeah, potentially. If it's a covered event, like say it's a critical illness and it led up to that, that could be it, right?
Right.
But again, not every situation is covered, right? Because these are
Gotcha.
ones that are
Right.
the ones that are like the best way to look at it is like things that are it's more encompassing than like a long-term care policy or
Mhm.
even your long-term disability policies.
But they write
Because
it
they do
out
include
clearly.
like critical illness. Yeah, right.
Mhm.
These not all these are covered in critical illness in disability policies, but it's typically the ones that are laid out here, like
Right.
you see, right?
Yep.
Those are ones again conforms with national long-term care guidelines. So these are
Yep.
usually covered events, but there are critical injury situations in which, yeah, we can look at that and say, hey, look, let's potentially pay that claim out.
I love the
Um,
fact that
yeah,
Alzheimer's is covered because everybody gets written off on that one. But go ahead. So Phil, can you tell me really quick what's not covered? Because, and my whole point on that was going to, I think if you were impaired while the accident, if there was an accident while that happened, I don't believe those are covered. I could be wrong,
No, you're
but
right. So in the event that let's say for example to your example that you into a car accident and you got some broken bones, right? But you'll be, gets you go to the doctor, they patch you up, and you'll be good in 6 months to a year or whatever the recommended time is. But that's not a critical or chronic situation.
mhm,
That's not covered usually. You know what I
right,
mean? So it's something that would have to trigger in the event that the catalyst puts you in a health space that you're chronically ill, right? Like,
right.
oh,
Okay.
because of this accident, I now have to live with chronic back pain, right?
Okay.
Which
What
is
if you were drunk when you
debilitating, and
got in the accident?
I'm sorry.
What if you were drunk when you got in the accident? I'm an impaired like that.
I don't know if the leading up to the event matters. I think it's post-event, right?
Okay. Well, because I know that like in health insurance, they have some things that are not covered if you go to the hospital and you got in an
Right.
accident or you were like fell off of a something. But if you were impaired by any, like under the influence of anything, it's not covered.
Yeah. Um,
So
that's, there's some differences because what happens is that your physician would have to, when you enter a claim, you contact your physician, nurse goes out to
Hmm.
your home, assess the situation, and then their communication with your doctor, right? And
Right.
through that, they fill out these forms, these claim forms, and they would have to certify your state, right?
At the
Okay,
time.
yeah,
Right.
calling, this particular person is now chronically ill and they are unable to
Okay.
do blah 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 blah, right? So
Well, good to know.
it's not as simple as, let's say, oh, I'm riding my bike and I broke my elbow or something like that. So
Right.
there's a claims process through that we'll contact your physician and go through that. Um, and if it's something that falls within those categories as chronically ill or critical terminal, then these benefits kick in instantly, and you're covered, right? So
Okay. Yep. So yeah, I was just reading this next slide you had up here. So that is uh, let's start with that.
yeah. So, this is an example of a financial plan that has living benefits inside of like a cash accumulation life insurance vehicle, right? Like an IUL, for example. And the reason why, most families gravitate towards that particular product is because it is very encompassing of what most people need, right? You have your death protection, you have your living benefits. And in addition to that, you're accumulating cash in the same policy, right? So it really it's a very encompassing program that a lot of families take advantage of because it puts them in a better financial position. You know what I mean? And that's why this slide kind of emphasizes.
Right.
Oh,
And then above and
right.
beyond all that too, what the great thing about that is families, individuals, and business owners, anyone that we really help to get into these types of policies, when they're putting money away into these things, they don't want it to work like, and there's nothing wrong with this either, but they don't want it to work sometimes like car insurance works, right?
Right.
Like when you pay car insurance, it's like either you get into accident, when you get in an accident, it's going to pay you, right?
Hmm.
But when you don't, it's like that money's just gone forever,
Yeah.
right? When you
Yeah, and
have,
that's why a lot of people don't. Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
That's the whole
when you
term.
have, correct, yeah, when you have cash value life insurance, it's gonna pay you either way, right? It's gonna either pay you if you don't use it, right? You get access to your cash value, you get to use it, and then if you do have a covered event, it's gonna pay you anyway, right? So you get the best of both worlds, right? When you get to do it. Um,
Right.
doesn't mean that it's going to work as optimum as possible. It depends on who you're working with, right? This is what we
And does it take
specialize
out
in.
of your
Yeah,
benefit? Does it take
yeah,
out of your death benefit? Right, it
yeah,
does. So,
right.
which is okay because if you need it now, you need it now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And those are the things we cover, right? Because when those are the things that clients are considering, people are people at the end of the day, right? We got to make decisions and we just got to get the best we can.
And seriously, if you couldn't go to work, like literally, like if something happened and you were like, "Oh my God, I have cancer. Now I have to go do chemotherapy." And I just, you can't. I mean, you just can't go to work. And then your whole family is just going to be like,
Yeah.
"Well, what are we going to do?" Like,
That's
I
right.
don't
Yeah,
know. I mean,
Yeah, no,
you
it's
that's
can't,
right.
it's those
crazy.
real situations that, you try not to paint this grim picture, but it's reality, right? And
Oh,
we all know someone, some family member that been through these situations. Some of them have coverage, some of them don't, and we can see the devastation behind that. So it's not just painting a grim picture, but it's just having the proper protection, especially if you're in an environment in which you are the key person in the household that makes most of the income, or at least 60% of it. What would happen if you get into an accident and go into a coma situation, right?
Right.
Income
And
stop
how about, I
and all
mean,
that.
even if the on the critical illness, go ahead though. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, in that example, what I find is that the emotional toll it takes just by the incident event to the family
Mhm.
members is unmeasurable, right?
It really is. It really is.
Everything takes a back seat, right? Everything takes a back seat. You don't care about your bills going, none of that matters to a certain degree. And then
Until the electric gets shut off and you're like, oh,
there you go, what do we do? Right? But just having a conversation with families and having them understand the implications of it, but also giving them a solution. Because one thing is to talk about something, right? And then there's no solution behind it. Or the solution is so unaffordable that why are we even talking about this? You know what I mean?
right.
So that's one thing that I would want people to understand is that, reach out to Colleen, especially in this group. She does an amazing job at financial structuring and plans. But have those conversations, right? Have the conversations, especially if you're in this field. You guys are mainly small business owners, right? Each person, you guys work for probably different dental hygienist companies or dental companies, that you could potentially have your family at jeopardy, and not in a bad way. You just don't know. People just don't know what they don't know, right? Like
Well,
before I get into this field, I had no idea. I mean, I had a policy and I knew it was good, but I just didn't really know, right, before I got into the
right,
field. So I feel a lot more relieved now that if something were to happen to me, my wife's taken care of, it's all set, right?
right.
Um, and they're just things that we have to talk about.
Well,
And
and when people
Yeah.
think about life insurance, they don't think about, oh, well, I'm young. Like, well, that's the best time to start a life insurance policy because it's
oh
cheaper, way
man,
cheaper.
yeah.
I don't need life insurance. I'm too young to die. Well, how about we get it while it's cheap so you can afford it? And then you can make, what if something, they don't think about accidents. They just think about the death part of it. And it's
That's a
like,
that's a very that's an interesting claim that I see young people say, right? And I get it to a certain degree because when you're in your 20s, you feel like you're Superman, you're invisible, invincible, right? Nothing, you don't get sick, nothing happens. You eat whatever you want, you're healthy, you're good to go, right? Nothing,
turn 45.
Um, but there's more and more events recently, and I'm not saying this because of a particular time, but there's more and more events that illness, it doesn't discriminate against age. Nope,
Hmm.
it doesn't.
No,
You're right.
absolutely.
You know what
Absolutely.
I
And also,
mean?
no, you're 100%
And
correct.
just
And even
because
when I
you,
say, go ahead,
let me just
go
make this
ahead.
point. Just because you may not be in a position in which people depend on you financially,
Mhm.
doesn't mean that you should put more financial stress on people, right?
Right.
Because there's two coins to that. And I understand the argument. Okay, if I'm 23 years of age, I'm
Still
healthy,
living at home.
yeah, I'm living at home, no one's financially dependent upon me. Okay, great. But the emotional toll, but the financial stress of whatever that is going to come about to your family. In the real world, people are living paycheck to paycheck, right? In the
Mm-hmm.
real world. You know what I mean? Most Americans are. It's unfortunate. Most Americans are. And surmounting amounts of, the health related bills can put someone on the brink. And if that could be avoided by any means, I suggest you do it. If it's going to cost you 20, $30 a month, well, I don't know what the cost may be, right? For a particular situation, I think it's a very good investment just for peace of mind.
Yes. I know a young man right now is 30 years old. He just got diagnosed with cancer and he's on, I think, state aid, so it won't pay for cancer treatments apparently. So his dad is paying out of pocket for all of his cancer treatment. And
There you go.
he's 30 years old, doesn't live at home.
There you
And
go.
it's like,
Yeah. And unfortunately, we're starting to see more and more of that stuff, right? Like there's no discrimination of age when it comes to illness. And again, just sitting down, speaking as a professional person about this and taking that responsibility, being proactive about it, you could put your family in a much better place.
same thing with your littles. Like there's so many, I don't want to go into it, but you're never too young to start a life insurance policy, period, because it's not for when you're dead. It's literally it can do so much for you. With that being said, thank you for
You're
all
welcome.
of the information. You guys are great. I love you guys. We're gonna do this again and we're gonna get it
Absolutely.
right next
You got it,
time.
Colleen.
We're actually,
We,
but it's my fault because I'm technically challenged sometimes, but I
no,
think we're on the right track.
I
No,
think we
Um,
figured it out. I think we
you
figured
got
out
this, Colleen. Yeah,
what
yeah,
we got.
you're good.
got it. Everybody else in the group, definitely hit me up if you want to have a conversation, because literally that's all it is a conversation, just to get some questions answered, to see. What I do is we try to tailor plans made for your budget. We don't just throw a number at you and say, here you go. We try to figure out where you're at in life and what you can and can't afford, because we don't want you paying for something that you can't afford. It just doesn't make any sense. So even if it's just a start, or if you're ready and you have, you're ready to start investing, or if you just want to have a conversation, there's no obligation. It's just about education, and it's just about learning and figuring it out. So I'm here for you guys. I want to help. That's what I do. And these two guys are the best. I swear they're great. And there's never any judgment. There's never any it's just family. Like, we're here to help. So
That,
you guys
Thank
have
you, Colleen.
my
Appreciate that.
calendar.
Yeah.
Of course. You guys have my calendar, so hit me up and schedule an appointment with me. I will also put y'all's links in there if they would rather talk to one of you. That's fine with me too, because I get it. Sometimes it might be weird to talk to me,
sure.
but
We're here to support and help.
You
Whatever
got
we
it.
can do. You guys got our full support.
Absolutely.
Just
right,
reach out to Mike. It's cute.
right. Well, thank you. Yeah, reach out to
No.
Mike. He's got it. No,
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much, you guys, and we will do this again. We're going to
Thanks,
start doing
guys.
this more often now
Yeah.
that I figured out. But have a great day. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Have a great one. Take care.